guys, what's up? It's Nick with the Hungry Handgunner. So, kind of interesting video idea for today. Two things. These are my opinions. Not claiming to be right, but I don't think I'm wrong. So, this has a lot to do with opinion, mine and other people's. So, if you're easily triggered by such things, then this may not be the place or the video for you to watch today. If you're on Facebook and you're on a bunch of gun groups or online forums, 1911 versus Glock is something that has come up and probably been coming up since the 80s, even before I was born in 1990. So, I've had a couple new shooters recently ask me, what's the big deal with the controversy? You know, why do some people say 1911 is better than Glock or vice versa? So today we're going to shed a little bit of light on that, I hope. And spoiler alert, if you don't want to watch the end of the video, I don't think either one's necessarily better than the other. But we'll go over some pros and cons of 1911 versus Glock, and we'll shoot a little bit too. Alright, so to start things off, when somebody says 1911 versus Glock, you know, you could have a 1911 like this Kimber Ultra Carry. It's clear. It's tiny, guys. 3-inch barrel, 7+1. You could have a 1911 like this SIG Emperor Scorpion Fastback. This one is hot. And you could be talking about a Glock 42, or you could be talking about this Glock 19X. You know, there's just too many variables for it to be simply Glock versus 1911. You know, ultimately what I think the gist of the argument is, you know, a polymer frame gun versus a steel or alloy frame gun. Single stack versus double stack, which again, you start getting into some of the smaller Glocks, you've got that single stack. So let's discuss a little bit. So go ahead and clear the SIG. 1911 design has been around for a long time, over 100 years, obviously. They're steel, typically. If you're looking at a traditional 1911, they're steel. They're not the smallest guns in the world as far as overall length and height goes, but width, they are pretty small. Part of that is due to the fact that they use a single stack magazine. So most commonly chambered in 45 ACP, but that's not always the case. They have 9mm, 380s, 10mm, 40s, you name it. You can probably find some sort of 1911 chambered in it. They've got a great single action trigger, so that hammer's locked, you drop the safety, you pull it. It's a great trigger, typically. Able to be a better trigger than a striker, in which part of the striker fire design, in which part of the trigger pull you're actually cocking the internal firing pin and everything a little bit more, so you can have a lighter, crisper trigger on a single action platform. But you know, they're older design, but they're still very capable guns. So obviously I like them. I have two. I've got some friends that have more 1911s than I have guns total. So there's a lot of people that really like them, and there's a lot to like. You start getting into a Glock, we'll pick this one up. This is just a regular Glock 19 Gen 4. Nothing fancy. Probably one of the most common guns out there for carry and just in general. You have a 15+1 standard mag capacity. You can take a Glock 17 size mag and it sticks out a little, but it'll work. It's got a polymer frame, a little bit fatter frame, and the grip angle is different. Let me go back to the 1911. So with the 1911, John Moses Browning, one of the things that people say he absolutely got right is that grip angle. It's about an 18-degree angle, and they being people way smarter about guns than I am, say that, you know, if you make a fist and you punch the fist out and you do that, it's very similar to what you get with the 1911. It's just a very natural pointing firearm for a lot of people. When you get into a Glock, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this on the camera very well, but the Glock has a little bit more angle to it. In other words, you kind of have to drive that wrist forward a little bit more to get those sights to line up just right. Is it a big deal? No, not to me. I shoot both. I can go back and forth between the two fairly well. But for some people, either the Glock grip angle, which is I think closer to 22 degrees, is just too much for them to overcome, or the 1911 grip angle is just too much for them to overcome. So as you're starting to figure out from me talking here, these guns are really quite different guns. They're different animals. It's not like Gaston Glock designed this to take the place of this. They're completely just, they're different. You know, when you draw a Glock from your holster, you draw, you aim, you fire. With a 1911, it's got a safety. Now, I don't know of anybody that advocates carrying a 1911 cocked with the safety off. So when you draw, you have to drop that safety and then go about your business. The 1911 safety, though, is very easy to get to. It's not like a manual safety on like a M&P Shield, which is so small, you know, you really have to train for that all the time. With this, I mean, it's just right there. So that's not the end of the world. Some other features, you know, the Glock has the internal safety features and the centerpiece on the trigger to prevent negligent discharges. The 1911 has, you know, a firing pin block, obviously, so that if you hit the hammer it doesn't go off, but it also has a grip safety. This gun, safety's off, will not fire until this grip portion is pushed down. So, you know, Springfield does that a lot on their XD series guns as well. They're just different, guys. I won't sit here and tell you one's better than the other. Now I do, by virtue of mag capacity and the fact that, you know, both the Glocks I have are 9mm, both the 1911s I have out here are 45s. I carry a 9mm. So, you know, in this case, that kind of rules the 1911s out. But I know guys that are 9mm guys that just go out and pick up a 1911 chambered in 9mm. They're more comfortable with this platform, and they run that. Nothing wrong with that. It just depends. So I don't have a shot timer, but what we're going to do is we're going to try to see if maybe the issue is that maybe one of the guns can be shot faster. We'll see. Got a steel target down there. Give me just a second and we'll see if we can shed some light on which one can be shot faster. Alright, so we'll let the oldest go first. So we'll do the 1911. Now what I'm going to do, got two 8-round magazines, so we'll fire both mags, and then I'll do one 15-round mag through the Glock. I'm not Jerry Mikulek. I'm not even really that good of a shot fast, so you know, we'll just see. We'll see what we get here. Alright, 1911's clear. Go ahead and give the Plastic Fantastic a shot. Alright. So, all the rounds went off. No failures to feed. No failures to fire. Failure to ejects. So, in that very abbreviated little test there, guns performed flawlessly. But I did get 15 rounds without reloading. So, you know, mag capacity is going to be better in a 9mm versus a 45 in a similarly sized gun. So, I do have to say, this is a pro mag that I ran through the 1911. So, 1911 guys, I'm having good luck with it. I don't know. So, brings me to another little thing. Now again, I'm not saying 1911s are unreliable, but when the 1911s were designed, they were designed as a military sidearm. So that kind of ruled out any kind of expanding projectile, jacketed hollow points, things like that. You had ball ammo. So one thing I have heard and I have experienced with my Kimber Ultra Carry is ammo selection for self-defense can be a bit of a process for some 1911s. You know, I had a bunch of the SIG V-Crown hollow points. I think that's what they're called, the SIG Elite Performance. Pretty hyped up stuff, pretty good results that I've seen with ballistic testing. So I was like, oh cool, you know, that'll be the way to go in the Kimber if I carry it. Kimber hates it. I'd get maybe 1-2 shots before they just wouldn't feed. So ended up going to the Federal HSTs, had some in my pocket there, and they feed great through the Kimber, they feed great through the Scorpion. So, you know, sure, I mean, you can find hollow points that feed well in them, and that's not a big deal. For me, I've noticed that the 1911s can be a little bit more picky than, say, something like a Glock. And this thing has, I think I've had 2 failures to feed, and when I looked at my mags, they were very dirty. It was after an extended firing session, so I'm going to blame it on the mags. It was with ball ammo of all things. So you get that. There's trade-offs, guys. I honestly cannot sit here and tell you that if I was at a gun store and I didn't own a gun, probably the biggest constraint would be price for me. You know, that you can pick one of these up for, we'll say $600, which is being generous because you can get them used a lot cheaper than that. And we'll say $1,200. You know, okay, the 19X, $700. Now you're getting real close in territory here with the Kimber Ultra Carry 2. But again, this is a 3-inch barrel, alloy frame. 1911s are typically more expensive. So I guess what I'm really trying to say here, guys, is shoot what you want to shoot, you know, and carry what you want to carry. The only time I'm going to get upset with you about what you carry, it's not going to be about what you're carrying, it's going to be about how you're carrying. Are you carrying safe? Are you practicing with what you're carrying? You know, get out and shoot. I wouldn't think that it would be like dragging teeth sometimes with gun people to get them to just practice. And I know we all get busy, but if you're going to carry a 1911, practice. You still got to practice. I don't care that you carried one for 25 years in the military. That's great. When's the last time you shot it? That's a perishable skill. And I don't mean slow fire at paper, which is good, but if you can get somewhere where you can practice going from the holster, somewhere where you can practice doing your reloads on the go, you need to train like you're going to fight. And obviously the statistical likelihood of getting in a gunfight is slim, but if you're going to, you need to be prepared to do that. If you carry a Glock, don't just sit there and say, well, I got 15 shots. You know, you're accountable for every round that leaves that muzzle. I heard somebody say one time, you know, every round that you fire has a lawyer attached to it. And a lawyer or not, you know, the moral implications of, you know, if you go out there and you don't practice and you do hit somebody's kid or, you know, somebody that had nothing to do with the situation, how are you going to feel at the end of the day? Leaving out all the civil ramifications, just the moral ones alone are enough to keep you up at night. So, I mean, this has kind of been a lighthearted take. I admit I don't really understand the rivalry, if you will. Well, the rivalry's fine, but I guess, I mean, there's really some people that will tell you, oh, you know, these are just pieces of shit and nobody should own one, and the only people that own them are people that can't shoot and they're terrible, and And then there's people that say, oh, the only people that own these are, you know, most of them are in nursing homes. And neither one's true, guys. So shoot what you shoot well and that you're comfortable shooting. You know, at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. Only you know what's going to be best to defend yourself with. So a little bit of a lighthearted video for today. Start the new year off. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody had safe celebration last night. We were in bed by 10:30. So take care, stay safe, keep shooting. Whether it's a Glock or a 1911, we're all on the same team, guys. Take care.